Hello, hello. My name is Bridget from Bridget's Astrology, and today I'm going to have a look as part of my coaching group. We're going to be going through the planets and, all of the aspects of astrology. But today I'm looking at Venus. Now, I'm particularly interested in Venus this year because she is going to have a retrograde in Aries and then back into Pisces. Now, it's interesting because at the beginning of this year, we have Mars retrograde. So, like the beginning of this year is just back to back to back of retrogrades of our personal planets. So currently, Mars has just retrograded back into Cancer last night. And then as soon as Mars finishes its retrograde, just a little bit of time later, Aries is going to start her retrograde, along with Mercury joining in with her in March. So, if you know what your Venus is, please pop it in the comments. You can follow along and I'll have the timestamps. So if you're interested, you can just go to yours. Say, I have Venus in Scorpio in the ninth house. So I'll have both of those things chapter titled. So you can just go and have a look at each of those things. And if you don't know where your Venus is, you can always reach out for a reading, or you can join my coaching classes where on Tuesdays we do learning and on Fridays we do charts and chats where you can go through all of your questions and we can work it out together. All right, so starting straight away, let's have a look at Venus in Aries. All right, so Venus in Aries is being ruled by Mars. So when you're having a look at your own Venus or you're looking at this and you're looking at Venus in Aries, have a look at your Mars because Mars is the thing that is influencing Venus. Venus in Aries is independent and driven and very bold and will say what she wants. She's a bit like a warrior. I use Xena warrior princess as the archetype, or Athena. So a very strong, dominant, not afraid type of woman. But have a look at your Mars as well because that Venus in Aries is wearing the coat of Mars. So say your Mars can be anywhere. So say you've got Venus in Aries and Mars in Cancer. Now that Mars in Cancer influence is going to calm down Venus, all right, because she's got that nurturing potential of Mars in Cancer. It could still be a little bit of frustration because Mars is in detriment in Cancer, but we're not going to go that deep. Just to say that Venus in Aries is very concerned with her family, so she might fight for her family. So this is one of the things that you get to learn when you are looking at the planets. Have a look at how that planet is influenced by other things like its ruling planet and also the house that it sits in. Okay, so let's have a look at Mars in Taurus. All right, so Venus in Taurus. So Venus in Taurus, Venus rules Taurus. So Venus loves being in Taurus. It's a very grounded version. Got to do with comfort, security, values, finances, loyalty, food, things of value in your life. Okay. I said finances. So like I said, Venus loves being in Taurus. What else? No, she likes sensual pleasures. I just have my notes here. So yeah, it's a Venus in Taurus is a very sensual placement. So just think you know, um, of, maybe a cook or a chef, that flavor profile. A chef is a great one actually, because not only do you have the love of food, but you've got that aesthetic value as well because it's Venus and the things that she loves. Maybe a really good fashion sense as well would be, although that's also Venus in Libra, but Venus in Taurus, grounded, stable, comfortable, moral, very, very, yeah, I like it. All right, let's have a look at Venus in Gemini. Okay, now Venus in Gemini is being ruled by Mercury. All right, now Gemini is the sign, it's got two sides, got two faces. All right, very, very chatty, can flit around, lots and lots of different passions, maybe, think Mercury, mercurial thoughts, communications. So, very playful. All right. She loves mental stimulation. Sociable, variety, can be a little bit inconsistent if she's not intellectually engaged. All right. So, Mercury, just think Venus in Gemini, got to keep that playful attitude happening, and make sure that you are mentally stimulated, not just physically stimulated. Okay, let's have a look at Venus in Cancer. All right, so Venus in Cancer. Now, Venus is exalted in Cancer. Sorry, I'm looking at my little thing over here. No, she just loves being in Cancer because it's a sign of the home and children and the mother. So Venus loves being there. She's very, very loyal and emotionally stable in Cancer. Okay, so she loves those deep connections. And when we think of Cancer, we have our ancestry. That's our family of origin. So, that Venus in Cancer might have a very, very deep connection to their own mother or to their children. So, now caring protectively can be a little bit overly sensitive if it's not positively placed, can be a little bit clingy as well. But the thing with planets in houses, there's a scale, there's a line, there's a spectrum. And depending on how your Venus is talking to other planets in your own natal chart and where that Venus is placed, that depends on a lot of how that planet's expression is in your own chart. So, like I was saying at the beginning, if you don't know where your Venus is, or if you want to find more about your Venus, then just reach out. So there we go. Let's move on to Venus in Leo. Now, Venus in Leo is so much fun because Leo is the sign of the showman, being up on stage, being able to, it's ego. So Venus in Leo is fabulous, darling. Absolutely fabulous. Fabulous hair, fabulous clothing, confident, totally able to lead a team. All right. So values admiration, creative expression, grand gestures, being in the spotlight. Can be a little bit obsessed with themselves in love because it is all about me. Venus in Leo, me, darling, me. All right. So when we look at Venus in Leo, Leo is ruled by the sun. All right. So that if you've got Venus in Leo, then what is your sun sign? And that sun sign placement is also going to influence that Venus. Now, I didn't say that Venus in Cancer is ruled by the moon. So also have a look at your moon sign to see what influence that Venus in Cancer is also going to have. Okay. So let's move on to Venus in Virgo. Now, I have a couple of beautiful friends that don't really like having their Venus in Virgo. It is in fall. Okay, so she's not quite happy with in there. However, both of those friends are amazing when it comes to like witchcraft or herbs. It's a very much a green witch type of personality. Think naturopath, the love of, medicine that comes from nature, maybe even gardening. Venus in Taurus, gardening, absolutely. Venus in Virgo, absolutely got a green thumb. All right. So they value acts of service. Think nurses. All right. So Venus in Virgo, I would absolutely attribute to nurses. Same as Hygeia. Hygeia is mental health and well-being and nursing. So Venus in Virgo, I think, is very much like that. That service to others. How can I help you? All right. Venus in Virgo, you got to think self-care as well. So that's a really good one. Loyal and grounded. Now, Virgo can be very critical. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So also have a look at that Mercury placement. So, Virgo has got a very loud inner critic. So if you do feel like I've got Venus in Virgo and I don't like it, well, how can you be very specific? How can you be, we all need someone that is good at decluttering and cleaning and wanting a clean environment. All right. So if you've got this placement, it's there's nothing bad about it. I love my Venus in Virgo friends. So just think of that caring factor of Venus in Virgo. All right, no worries. Oh, also, prefers subtle displays over showy romance. Virgo, very, very, what's the right word? Reflective, refined, very, very refined. Okay, so have a look. Let's have a look at Venus in Leo. Oh, sorry, Venus in Libra. Okay. All right. So Venus rules Libra. So she does love being in Libra. So she is all about beauty and aesthetics, fairness, balance. That Libra is, the scales, weighing up justice. All right. So being able to look around and not just seeing a beautiful work of art or a nice piece of furniture that is aesthetically pleasing, but also being very fair when it comes to relationships and listening to people and weighing things up. All right. So very much avoidant of conflict. All right, she does not like having conflict if Venus in Libra. All right, so yeah, again, balance, partnerships, fairness, listening well, and yeah, aesthetically pleasing, beauty treatments, beautiful wardrobe, things like that for Venus in Libra. Okay, let's have a look at Venus in Scorpio. All right, now I have Venus in Scorpio, and I do love my Venus in Scorpio. So it does allow the person to look deeply and love deeply and listen deeply. I think, personally, it can be, it's in detriment in Scorpio because it rules Taurus. So the opposite to any rulership is the detriment. All right. So I think she can possibly get a little bit obsessed with love as well. And there could also maybe be some traumas around love as well, because Scorpio is death, sex, other people's money. So, when we add Venus to those topics, we can get into some pretty tricky areas. All right. So just, just think of it as how deep in my soul am I feeling this? All right. You can always get it out. So Venus in Scorpio is also ruled by Mars. All right, so have a look at that Mars placement and just see, what sort of influence is that ruling planet having on that Venus. Okay, all right. So let's look at Venus in Sagittarius. All right, this is absolutely the backpacker vibe. All right, this is someone that wants to go on adventures. There's that incessant love of learning, again with the, Sagittarius is the judicial system, all right, and that educated person, all right. So this could be someone that is always looking into the why of things and just loving it, all right. So but again, somebody who loves overseas travel, getting those hiking boots on and going on the Tasmanian overland walk, or going to Machu Picchu, just gonna walk over there, things like that. So that very adventurous and free-spirited type of Venus, all right, can struggle with commitment. Just had a look at the end of my notes. Venus in Sagittarius can struggle with commitment. All right, so keep them stimulated with adventure and knowledge, and you will be able to keep that Venus satisfied. All right, so the next one we're going to have a look at is Venus in Capricorn. All right, so when I talk about Venus in Capricorn, I think of a CEO, all right, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. All right, so we're looking at processes, the terms and conditions, the rule book. It's got to be done the right way. So I always liken her to the CEO holding a clipboard and making sure that all of those things are ticked off. All right, so find where your Saturn is, and then you'll see what influence that Venus in Capricorn has for you. Grounded, structure orientated, yeah, you know, financially influenced. All right. Think of again that CEO. So what else does it say here? Stability, tradition, traditional values, Venus in Capricorn. So maybe you do things because that's the way it's always been done. All right, so there's another one that you can sort of look into. Very, very loyal and serious in relationships. All right, and may struggle with emotional vulnerability. All right, so just be aware of that one because Saturn, Saturn is the granddaddy of the planets and doesn't really like feeling vulnerable. However, as long as they're doing the right thing, making sure all of those boxes are ticked, you should be good. All right, now Venus in Aquarius. All right, Venus in Aquarius is in the modern rulership is Uranus, and the traditional rulership is Saturn again. But it's the independent, um not afraid to be their own unique, authentic selves. All right. So you'll find people with eclectic dress senses have got either the sun or Venus in Aquarius. So I love this one. But again, you can think of that crazy professor, let's try it, see what's going to happen. Or I also often use the Venus going into the community to see what is needed as one of her modern archetypes. She's very, very much ready to get on the ground and do the work that needs to be done to make sure that humanitarian and community vibe is also adhered to. All right. She's come out of Capricorn in the boardroom to see how they're going to plan everything. But let's get on the ground and see whether these boxes that I've ticked up there are going to actually transfer into the real world. Okay, and so now I'm going to look at Venus in Pisces. All right, so Venus in Pisces is dreamy and compassionate. She is exalted in Pisces, so she is an honored guest in the land. Okay, so now, Venus in Pisces, however, can have rose-colored glasses. All right. She's very empathetic, very aware of her own inner power. She can dream big, but Pisces is also the placement of escapism. All right. So we've got to be careful that Venus doesn't dive too deeply into things so that she's not seeing the real world influences around her. And like I said, rose-colored glasses can sometimes get Venus in Pisces into trouble. Now, this is Tuesday, the 7th of January. And in March this year, we actually have Venus retrograde happening. Now, it's going to go from Aries, which was that Vizina warrior princess, that brash, rash, let's go do it type of Venus. And she's going to retrograde back into Pisces. All right. So we get this whole Pisces into Aries, back again. And so this is going to be an interesting one because, like I said, all our personal planets, we have to look within this year. Now, this is the second Venus retrograde course that I did one for Venus retrograde in Leo 2 years ago. Now, I like this one because we're going to have this feminine independence and feminine strength quality is going to be the beginning. All right. And then we get to have a look at how our inner strength and our personal spiritual power can also influence that dynamic. So it's going to be an amazing one. All right. So just quickly, if you would like to like, subscribe, or pop in a comment, please do this now. I'm just going to pause this and then I will come back and have a look at Venus through the houses. Okay, so I'm back. All right, so now we are going to have a look at Venus through the houses. All right, so as I was saying earlier, I'm going to book chapter these so you can just have a look at what one is relevant for yourself. All right, so first we're going to have a look at Venus in the first house. So now the first house is your personality, your physical body, the mask that your ascendant is the mask that you wear. So it's how people see you. So when Venus is in the first house, people are magnetized to you. There is that attraction and the want to get to know you. All right. So it is the self and the identity. So you get that flavor of Venus in that house. All right. So valuing self-expression, personal appearance, and harmony when you are dealing with people. So there is a lovely quality to having Venus in the first house. Okay, so let's look at Venus in the second house. All right, so now the second house is finances, self-worth. So with Venus in the second house, there is and cookie cutter wise, Venus rules Taurus. So there is an ease when it comes to money. All right, so attracts wealth, likes comfort, and can be really good with their budgeting, maybe great with savings, maybe they're really uh not witty, that's not the right word. They're very cluey when it comes to, or maybe they feel good when it comes to um hunches on financial decisions. Sorry, that just was not coming out very well. So yeah, valuing security and again, maybe that feeling whether something is right or wrong. Should I buy that? No. Should I buy that? Yes. All right. So maybe that financial feel is there and it's very strong. All right. So yeah, just likes stable and actually even second house is the things of value in your home. All right, so someone with Venus in the second house might have beautiful uh like worthy furniture in their home. I can't remember where I got that tidbit from, but I remembered it. There we go. All right, so Venus in the third house. All right, so Venus in the third house, um, communication. All right. So people might, you know what, you might have a beautiful way of telling stories to people. You know, people might be enthralled with the way that you explain things. You know, this one is saying, again, valuing intellectual stimulation and harmony in conversations, skilled at expressing love, and maybe drawn to artistic and creative endeavors. Maybe you like to draw. Maybe, you know, maybe art. Maybe, you know, maybe art as a form of self-expression is a good thing. Art therapy would be, you know, that art way to communicate your feelings and your needs and wants might be something there as well. Or even just the love of writing. The love of writing. Maybe you're an author, or maybe you just write a good blog, or, you know, maybe you love singing. All right. That's another one. Love singing. Just, yeah, just that beautiful, just think of, you know, Gemini is the throat and that vocal expression. Having Venus there just has that love of that expression. All right. Venus in the fourth house. Okay. Prioritizes harmony and beauty in the home. All right. So Venus in the fourth house, you might have a home full of children. You might just want so many kids, or you just might be really great at interior decorating. Maybe, you know, maybe you're the type of person that keeps the family cohesive. You might be that person that talks to everyone in the family. I mean, everybody's got their black sheep, and families of origin are always fun to deal with, but you might be that one that just keeps everybody connected. So, and traditions. All right. Yeah. So emotional security. All right. So, um, I just have a feeling to say that, you know, depending on the quality of your Venus, you know, that might also show what needs to be done to heal any of those ancestral sort of ancestral line stories that come through that we all have. Part of evolutionary astrology as well. You know, we always have to deal with things from our own family from the past. So having the Venus there might sweeten that for you as well. All right. Venus in the fifth house. Okay. So Venus in the fifth house, she loves. All right. So fifth house is romance, children, and creativity. So having Venus there, again, another one that you might have hordes of children. You might just love kids. Maybe you're a childcare worker. You know, Venus in the fifth house is also, you know, the love of romance, you know, again with the with an artistic quality or that creativity. You know, you just might like sewing or creating things. Just, you know, have a passion for doing stuff that comes from within you. All right. So the fifth house also relates to Leo and the sun. So, you know, what brings you joy? You might be able to easily express the things that bring you joy. So if it is, you know, like you might have a wonderful, loving partner, you might just have beautiful kids, or maybe you just do the things that bring you joy with ease. Okay. Venus in the sixth house. All right, so I'm going to go back and you know, the sixth house is our service to ourselves and others, and also self-care, healthcare, illness. All right, so having Venus there, you know, maybe it's indicating that, you know, those natural healthcare qualities, the love of a good diet. You know, I was saying with Venus in Virgo, it's that green witch aspect, but also that nursing thing, you know, that love of helping people and being of service to others. All right, so harmonious work environments. All right. So Venus is, sorry, the sixth house is also our job versus the 10th house being our career. So, having Venus in that sixth house, everybody at work might love you. You might just be that person at work that everyone's like, oh, they're so nice. So maybe that's the thing there for you. But Venus in the sixth house, definitely have a good self-care regime. All right, so let's have a look at Venus in the seventh house. All right, now, just like Libra, I mean, there is that thing called cookie cutter astrology where, they all sort of relate to each other, and it is true in a lot of ways. So Venus in Libra, um, very fair when it comes to relationships, always looking for the best in, that Pollyanna, where can I find the best version of this person? All right. So, it can be a little bit detrimental in some cases when you're looking for goodness in a thing that you should let go of, maybe. All right. Or maybe, that Libran balance, if you keep looking for the good in people, you might just keep yourself off balance. So, definitely don't try too hard to find good where there is none. Don't know why I said that, but there you go. All right, so seeking balance, fairness, and harmony, charm and diplomacy. Definitely a very, very Venus in the seventh house. Diplomatic is quite a good word for that as well. All right, so let's have a look at Venus in the eighth house. All right, so the eighth house is that, that depth, all right? It is the depth of our soul. It is one of those places where you have to go on the journey, all right? So the eighth house is like the river Styx, you actually have to go and on a quest to find yourself. It's like in Star Wars when Luke goes into the cave, all right, he has to face his fears and go and find the answer to the quest. All right, so this is sort of like that. Having Venus in that placement, maybe you have a love of detective novels, and maybe, you have some more darker fantasies, all right, because Venus in the eighth house, why not? Shared resources, all right, so Venus ruling money in the eighth house could also be positive shared resources experiences, all right, so you might attract positive um, money sharing things. Oh my God, my words. That was so terrible. Business opportunities that will do. So maybe you have positive influences when it comes to business opportunities. Or again, with that hunch thing that I was talking about with Venus in the second house, you might know what is good for investing money, you know, stock markets, or you just might have positive influence when it comes to, taxes. It might be great for you all the time. Or like I said, you might just know what to invest in. Okay, that's a good one. All right, so Venus in the ninth house. All right, another one that is going to love culturally enriching experiences, that want to travel, that want to get to know. All right, so there's that love of learning about other cultures. All right, so Venus in the ninth house, let's go overseas. All right, or she might be an absolute bookworm that just wants to know more. Why might be a great one to attribute Venus in the ninth house, the love of the question why. All right. So, all right. Yeah, let's move on to Venus in the 10th. All right. So now Venus in the 10th is very career orientated. All right. She loves her career. Okay. So now also depending on what you have on the midheaven. All right. So I mean, the sign of the midheaven is how you're seen at work. All right. So if you have Venus in the 10th house of your career, then depending on what it's in, you could just have some really positive work friendships. You might have that you workaholic, is if it's not in the greatest condition, you might be a workaholic. Now, the 10th house is also your reputation. So having Venus in there could be good for having a good reputation at work. All right, so that's another good one. And the respect, all right, 10th house, traditionally Saturn ruled Capricorn. Yeah, having that respect at work as well. So I like that one. All right. And yeah, like I said, do you just love your career? All right, Venus in the 11th house. Now, the 11th house is hopes, dreams, fears, future potential. All right, it is traditionally Aquarius. So you might love going out with your friends. You might be the type of person that joins groups all the time. You might have a really strong friend group around a passion that you have. All right, Venus. You might love singing. Imagine having Venus in Gemini in the 11th house. That would be going to hang out with people to sing in a choir, potentially. All right. So just, what outfit is Venus wearing? And that way you're going to find out where your tribe are. That would be a good one. Finding your tribe. If you have Venus in the 11th house, go and find friends with that have the same interests as you do. All right. And again, also having that positive attitude towards your future potential. In the Mercury one, I talk about our antenna. There's my antenna there. And what are you emitting? All right. So what you think about and what you love and your passion are the things that are going to come back your way. So Venus in the 11th, that's where you're going to find your tribe. All right, so let's look at Venus in the 12th. All right, so now the 12th house is our spiritual house, but it is also the place of our self-undoing. Now, like I was saying with Venus in Pisces, it's also institutions, all right? So you could work for hospitals. You could, have a spiritual practice. You could be devoted to a certain type of outcome, or not outcome, but a certain connection. So, maybe you do Reiki, maybe you do XYZ, whatever it is, it's that spiritual connection to that. Okay. So now the 12th house is also our subconscious narrative. So depending on where your Venus is, maybe you are Venus in Cancer, you are, and the 12th house is also, it's also our, like, it's the conversations that we have with ourselves that come from childhood. All right. So Venus in the 12th house could look like a positive or negative conversation about love that came from your childhood. So you could potentially sort of look at that and go, well, if you have problematic relationships, have a look at the 12th house to see what that subconscious narrative is saying and where it came from. Okay, so I'm just going to stop and have a drink of water before I go on. The next bit, I'm going to look at Venus and in medical astrology wise. Okay, so now I just want to have a quick look at Venus and in regards to our physical body. All right, so medical astrology. All right, so now Venus rules the skin, the female hormones. All right, so estrogen, obviously it's a female hormone. Now we look at also, so she rules Taurus, so it's the throat. She also rules Libra. So that is the kidneys and also, sorry, lower back and our adrenals. Now, our adrenals are Mars, but just because of the position, and because it's also hormonally induced. All right, so adrenal fatigue doesn't have to just be Mars. We could be emotionally exhausted, so therefore your adrenals are going to also suffer. All right, so hormonal balance, reproductive system. All right. And, when Venus is in retrograde, like it's going to be in March and April, we're looking at reviewing our healthcare and self-care practices. So if your body is saying things to you, then that might be a great time to follow up. Go and visit a GP or a specialist or a naturopath or whatever your choice of self-care is. But Venus retrograde might be a great time to do that. All right, so hormonal balance is really, really important. And I mean, for myself, I am perimenopausal, and so I'm very much aware of my hormone cycles right now because they're changing. When we go in at, however old you are when you go into puberty, Menopause is like literally us reversing out of puberty. So, making sure that we're aware of what our body needs, because, if you're not doing the right things during this menopause journey, you can end up with things like osteoporosis and, that nobody wants to be doing that. So, all right, now obviously also fertility. All right, so if you're ever wanting to have a look at a fertility transit, then have a look at Venus transiting your fifth house. All right, that's always a really good one, or the first house, but Venus in the fifth can't go wrong. All right, and then yeah, basically self-care practices and emotional well-being. All right, so now Venus can sometimes be a little bit quiet when it comes to relationships because she's a little bit passive. Some people are, but addressing issues in relationships might also be something that you can look at when, especially when Venus transits your seventh house. All right, so I was telling you at the beginning of this that Venus is going to go retrograde. So if you are interested in doing this self-work while Venus is transiting, sorry, is going retrograde, then have a look at my Venus retrograde course. Okay, so first of all, like I said, she moves into that Aries, which is about courage and independence and assertiveness. So whereabouts is Venus going to be transiting in your chart? All right, because she's not going to go over two houses. And if you would like to work on the issues of that placement in a very, very structured and supported way, I had some amazing people that got amazing results that are actually long-standing. All right. So because you're doing the work at the right time. All right. So you've got that universal support system, plus a great system of ladies all doing the same thing at the same time. So, if you want to sort of reevaluate your relationships, your values, your finances, or, your self-worth, like that's the biggest one. Your spiritual perspective. All right. So, if you are interested in doing a Venus retrograde course, please just reach out. And also, if you're interested in doing the astro coaching, all right, so that one is every month we do 8 classes, one being a learning class and one being a chatting and an accountability class. That is just $97 for the month. So you can get lots of one-on-one time with me if you show up. This is the thing with personal development. You have to show up and do it. So thank you so much for joining me. And if you haven't liked or subscribed by this point, if I could ask you to do that, that would be amazing. And yeah, join me for my series. So, or come and chat at Lifetime to Level Up. I do a live on Facebook every morning at 8:30. So you can come and have a look at what the astro weather holds for that day. And again, thank you so much if you are still here right now. See ya.